George Bush. Obviously, cocktail here. Let's see. That's a little better. Let's park the brakes while I talk. We're in the F6F Hellcat, made by Flying Iron. It was running, but simulated version by Flying Iron. World War II fighter. We're going to close the canopy here. Makes it a little quieter. The Flying Iron products are great. P-38 Spitfire and the F6F. They're kind of pricey, anywhere from $40 or $50. You can download the manual to study that off their website. Big kits. They have a working tablet on all their aircrafts. Click it. If you haven't flown the Flying Iron products, you can run the whole checklist from here, although I'm going to use Microsoft Flight Simulator so that I have the advantage of the finding different things since I'm not particularly familiar. It doesn't work like that on the Flying Iron products, but a lot of good information in here. Takeoff talks about normal, max. We're going to be taking off the carrier. I'm going to try to do a catapult launch. Kind of tricky. Flying Iron actually in their manual gives you instruction on how to do a catapult launch. Hold the brakes, flaps up, a little over 2,000 RPM. Not too much, she'll go nose over and hit the catapult launch switch, which is down here. Where is it? That one. And then get ready, release the brakes full power with about 1 second to go, and off she goes with full aft stick. See how that goes. It's kind of tricky. Then we'll come back around and try to do a land to a tail hook trap on a George Bush. You can practice the catapult launches on any runway in the Flying Iron. You could actually do it on a regular runway if you didn't want to try it on the carrier. Even those catapults. Catapults were available in World War II. I didn't use them. They were very cumbersome. And they were slow, so it's hard to launch them. A fleet of fighters, and each one took a couple of minutes to get off the deck, a few minutes to reload it. Not like today where you can launch one after another. Catapult was manual reset on most everything. But they had no wind and very heavy, they would do it. So you have V-speeds here. Interesting, this FRF is in knots. P-38 and Spitfire in miles per hour. So go to knots column. A couple of interesting speeds here. 135, you get the gear down. You get it down earlier for drag, but if you get it over time, you'd wear out the brake lines of the gear. So you want to respect that 135. Flaps though are 170, so it's unusual to have the gear speed so much slower than the flaps. So once you get the gear down below 135, you start bringing the flaps down. There's a flap gauge. It's down here. I'll move the flaps here. There they go. I just clicked it once, and they kind of continuously moving. I'm not sure if there's any way to set intermediate flaps. It appears to be all or nothing. But anyway, the catapult launch, the Flying Iron recommends flap 0, so they're coming up, and they're up over here as you can see. Anyway, so once the gear's down, they can bring the flaps down to full and try to come back in here and land. Very slow at final approach speed, as most carriers are capable, aircraft are capable of. This aircraft was built, the Hellcat, to combat the Japanese Zero. It was a replacement for the Wildcat, F4F Wildcat. The Japanese Zero was really dominating the skies in the Pacific, and this Hellcat changed all that. There were, get this, 12,725 of these bad boys built in 2 years. Pretty amazing. You consider how long it takes to build a fighter these days. And they're credited with about, let's see, 5,223 enemy aircraft down between the U.S. Navy, U.S. Marine Corps, and the Royal Navy fleet during World War II. They finally came out of service in 1954, but they were brought online or Pratt & Whitney engine. It's the same engine that they used in the P-47, Republic P-47 Thunderbolt, and the Corsair. Just they have folding wings on it as well. But anyway, more about the tablet. Loadout. Right now we're max weight because it's a carrier launch. It does have an autopilot on all the flying iron airplanes that you can use. It works quite well. Of course, it wasn't available during World War II. But if you were going to do a long leg, let's say, replicating the launch out of southern England to Normandy and back, a little over an hour from 20 flight, you would probably put the autopilot on, go get a cup of coffee at home. They didn't have that luxury naturally. It works well though. Little workshop you can play with. Settings. It does have a GPS, like all the flying iron aircraft, fully functional GPS. But we're not going to use that because it wasn't authentic in World War II. As the George Bush was not authentic either, but it did have Midway and other carriers that did have catapults. Height control stick, you can obviously do that. We always do. Or you can use the flying iron. Use World War II pilot, we'll do that. Hide the pilot, nah. Hide spinning prop, no. Simplified ground handle. If you don't have rudder pedals, it's a lot of differential braking. It's kind of hard to steer this thing, but flying iron has provided you with simplified ground handling on the F6F so that you can have effective nose wheels and steering. Dynamic engine stresses, I keep that on just so I don't get complacent. And you can get pushback if you find yourself spawned at a place where there's a gate. You can do a little pushback if you can't maneuver properly. Anyway, that's a tablet. I'm going to stow it for this flight. I'm just going to do pattern work. Here's what I'm thinking of doing. I'm going to try to do a catapult launch. The way I'm going to do that, I'm going to release the brakes. Bring the flying iron says to bring the RPMs up to 2,000 and to start the countdown. But I find that the brakes don't hold, at least on my simulator. So I'm going to just bring it up to about 1,000. 1,000. Start the catapult launch. 1,001, 1,002, 1,003. With about when I hit 1,002, I'm going to bring the throttles to full and stick full aft. Throttles to full. When I hit 1 second, throttles to full, military power and stick full aft. Come back around 1,000 feet, which is 1,070. The George Bush's 70-foot deck. Come back in and try to land, catch the trap, and stop on the deck. Usually spins you around a little bit, but give it a shot. Slow final approach speed about 90 knots. I'll get gear, full flaps, come in, line myself up on final, really disciplined as I can for a glide slope approach path with airspeed. Try to touch down, catch that trap, and call it a day. Anyway, it's a flying iron F6F. We're going to try a catapult launch. It obviously works without the catapult quite well. Plenty of power. Alright, so here I go. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to hold the brakes, release the parking brakes, hold the brakes. Down here, catapult launch. I'm going to bring the power up a little bit. It says 2,000 in the manual, but I'm going to use 1,000 just to get some of the lag out of it. Here's the catapult launch down here. 1,001, 1,002, 1,003. Full power, stick full aft. Off we go. Hey, pretty cool. That's how you do it. Gear up, and the flaps are up. We did do a no-flap takeoff. All right, that's catapult launch. Let's come around. So we're going to go to 1,000 feet. Bring the power back so we don't burn out these engines. 1,000 feet, which is 1,070, which is right there. Come back around to the carrier group off our left wing. We took off the deck. There was some steaming at around 090 heading. So we're going to roll out here at about a 270 heading, and we'll have the carrier group. A little bit of lag in the carrier group up our left. Go downwind heading. So let's get down to 1,070. That's the pattern altitude. 170 knots, as I mentioned, on the ground. We'll use 135 as our gear speed. Gear speed's down here. Altitude's over here, going down to 1,070. There's 35 right there, gear down. Flaps coming to full. And I'm going to bring power in, try to stabilize around 90 knots. Carrier group's over there. When I can stabilize at 190, I'll roll off the perch here. Said it was going to be at 1070. Let's get there. That's good. Here we go. Little base leg. Try to do it close to 90 knots. This time final we'll do it. Just roll out, see where the runway is. There it is. Coming around nicely. I'll square the turn off here a little bit. Flatten it out. There it is, USS George Bush in the Sea of Japan. You can spawn it in any one of 7 locations. UGB, Uniform Golf Bravo, and this is number 3, the Sea of Japan. Look that up online. All right, coming around. This actually says 80 knots, 90 miles per hour, 80 knots. There it is, lining up the deck. As always with the tail draggers, sometimes you gotta put a little rudder in or drop the nose a little. Very disciplined, trying to line up with the approach. The old carriers were straight runway. These are angled, obviously. For 100 knots, it's too fast. Coming in. I'm an Air Force pilot. Sorry, Navy guys. And there you have it. Not bad for an old airline pilot. Retire in September of 2023 after flying for over 40-something years. And I'm having more fun flying Microsoft Flight Simulator than I've had traveling around the world. This thing is a blast. Anyway, thanks for joining. Don't forget to give me a subscribe. See ya. Man, that was fun.